Awake now? That's good, because we need to talk. The world out there, the world you think you know, that's not the world as it's supposed to be. There are 13 artifacts, 13 objects of supernatural power, and each is in the hands of a bearer. When they are brought together, they can destroy the world. They were, and they did. My daughter contained one of those objects, and a cop contained the key to the universe. We didn't save it, so we created a new one. This one is close, but it's not quite the same. This time, I got to have a family, but I had to destroy the world to get it. I'm the only one who knows that. Jackie takes off his coat, revealing the darkness beneath. The man he is about to slaughter asks, "Why are you telling me this?" And Jackie tells him, "I had to tell someone, and you won't be alive long enough to tell anyone else." Then, the lights go out. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible ways to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Don't forget to support this great industry by buying these books that you enjoy online or at your local comic book store. This is the ending and the beginning of the Top Cow universe. We're also going to be doing the Darkness Rebirth, but we wanted to start out here to sort of give you a jumping off point. And if you guys really enjoy this universe, give this video a like, and I'll do some backtracking to the Witchblade origins and how the universe ended. Sarah is sitting in a jail cell with a torn and tattered dress. She is the wielder of the Witchblade, a sentient artifact and weapon, the balance between light and the darkness. While she can use her weapon to blast her way out of this cell, she isn't going to. While she isn't a cop anymore, she also isn't an outlaw. She's a PI in the city of Chicago, and she's not been making any friends ever since she used the Witchblade to solve cases that the local PD wasn't able to solve. But how she got into this cell is something that we need to look at. She was hired by a wife to track down her husband, and while Sarah was watching him, everything went quiet. So she climbed up the side of the building and jumped into the room where she found the man that she was just watching watch television, dead and looking like he had been for days. This didn't make any sense. Sarah was just watching him, and so she looked around for a clue, and she found a matchbook from a local nightclub. She went back to her apartment where the woman who had hired her called her and wanting to know why she had been charging her for the last week, since the police just found her husband dead for days. Without an answer, Sarah offered to give back the money, but she knew that she needed to follow this trail, so she went to the nightclub that was on the matchbook that night. It was loud and dimly lit and full of the young and the hip. As she walked up to the bar and got a drink, that is when she met Kane Jorgensen. Sarah found his name funny. He might as well have been called the Dark Soul McSarrosen. She knew that she should be suspicious and curious about this man, but the fact is, Sarah had been alone in Chicago for weeks now, and she kind of liked the attention. That is until Kane saw someone younger, and he turned away from Sarah and he walked away. That didn't do much for Sarah's ego, so she walked into the restroom. No matter what she does to save the day or the fact that she's an occult investigator with a mystical artifact attached to her wrist, she knows that she can't beat time, and she's going to keep aging. But while she was worrying about her ego and her age, the bathroom door swung open and there stood a young woman in what appeared to be a fleshy version of the Witchblade. Tentacles came up underneath the stall and they wrapped around Sarah, throwing her out the back door of the club. Then the woman leaps out after her, telling her that she can smell it on her. As the woman comes in to get a hit, Sarah uses the Witchblade to make a shield, instantaneously blocking the hit. The woman then leans in to lick the Witchblade. "I want to taste it!" She begins to wrap her tentacles around Sarah, so Sarah blasts her. The young woman instantly begins to age into an older woman as the police arrive, and Sarah knows that this looks bad. That is how she got into the jail cell at the beginning. But someone posted bail for her, and in her tattered dress, she walked out with Jane the police officer hating her every minute of it. Kane is the one who bailed her out as an apology for leaving her standing at the bar. As they drove off, Kane was asking about the old woman that he knew was young when he went over to talk to her. She came to a few of his shows as he is a magician, and he wants to know why Sarah isn't bothered by the fact that she kind of turned into an old woman after the fight. Sarah explains that she's worked these kinds of special cases before, so this isn't anything new, and Kane tells her to be careful. Chicago has its own dark side. He takes her to his theater where he performs a few tricks, such as giving Sarah some coffee just the way she likes it. They begin to get passionate on the stage until Sarah realizes what she's doing and she stops him. She then walks out into the snow to get home, telling him that her personal magic will keep her warm. While riding in the cab, Sarah runs through the situation in her mind, getting picked up by the police, beating up on an old lady who's wearing a butcher shop version of the Witchblade, and letting a guy she just met take her to his magic show. None of this seems like her. And as she's distracted, she ends up back at her house where she sees all of the boxes from her move. Deciding to get her mind off all of this, she decides to unpack, something that she should have done weeks ago. She begins to unpack, and that's when she sees an old photo of her and her old friends. And then something happens. Something magical. She sees herself holding a baby in that very same picture. The Witchblade activates and she drops the picture, but then it looks normal again. She begins to think that it's nothing, so she lies down. A little while later, Sarah decides that she'll go speak with the old woman, whose name is Miranda Smalls. But as Sarah pulls up to the hospital where the woman's being kept, the woman comes barreling out of a window with another woman forcing her down. Magic and the fleshy version of the Witchblade are both in full swing. The witch stood over Miranda, demanding to know the location of the fountain, and Miranda, trying to find the strength to fight back, yells at her, "You people don't deserve the fountain!" She then blasts the witch with what appears to be blood, and Sarah runs in, hitting the witch hard and fully armored. The witch throws back some spells from what appears to be a wand, asking for forgiveness from the cauldron. Then a motorcycle comes up behind Sarah, trying to run her over, so she backflips over it, stating, "What the hell?" The woman climbs on and begins to ride off, so Sarah runs over to Miranda to finally see what's going on. Some workers who heard the commotion run over, so Sarah creates some wings out of her back, shielding herself and Miranda. Miranda explains that she pushed the flesh too far, and she did it all on an empty stomach. Sarah asks if she can help, and Miranda tells her no, but Sarah can still help the others. The whole thing was started by a man named Leon who discovered the fountain, something that can make you young again, and he let some of his elderly neighbors drink from it too. The more you drank, the younger you got, but it came with this armor, the flesh. Most of them went back to their mid-20s, but Leon became a boy again. They all learned quickly though that if you don't suck life from others, the flesh won't maintain your youth. They drew on the poor citizens of Chicago, and eventually got the attention of the biker gang witches. Sarah needs to help them fight off the bikers. They only found Miranda because she got stupid and attacked everyone. Then, Miranda dies, and Sarah makes her escape. Sarah has no one in Chicago except for Kane, so she decides that it wouldn't hurt to have a drinking buddy. But when she gets to Kane's apartment, she finds the door's been broken open and footprints along with motorcycle tracks on the ground. Those biker witches took him. Sarah runs into his place and realizes that Kane had something they wanted, and after going through his notes and maps, she realizes that Kane had the directions to the fountain. By using her detective skills, she realizes that the actual location that Kane had discovered wasn't kept in the open. It's like his career as a magician. It was a misdirection. So Sarah pulls out a notebook from underneath his table, and then she runs outside and gets to work looking for Kane. Meanwhile, over in New Jersey, Jackie has returned home from his vacation, and he throws a sheet over the window so he can talk to the darkness. He wants to know if Sarah's okay, and the darkness asks if he's still sweet on the woman. He tells the darkness to keep its watch on her, and then he throws the sheets off, bringing in the light. Back in Chicago, Sarah finds her way to the hideout of the rest of the flesh, but the police officer, Jane, followed her, fed up with all of her little secrets and solving cases before the rest of the police force. Down in some abandoned buildings on the south side, Jane walks in and Sarah grabs her, covering her mouth. It's too late though. Jane woke up the creatures hanging from the ceiling. Meanwhile, the biker witches are dancing in the moonlight and rubbing dirt on their faces while they torture Kane for information. The wielders of the flesh then drop down from the ceilings and begin to look at Jane and Sarah, hungry. But before any real fighting can happen, the leader Leon shows up, the young boy, and he tells everyone to stop. Back with the biker witches, they claw and tear up Kane, demanding to know the location of the fountain. They mock his job choice and his namesake, and he reveals that he has wizards and mages in his bloodline. He's the only one left, and he is looking for the source of the power because he wants to bring it back. And he tells them that their source is corrupted. They need to stop. They carry him out into the moonlight where they throw him down and they begin to strip naked. Back with Sarah, Leon takes her into the back room, the actual fountain, which is a water spigot. He explains that the blade, the darkness, and the spear artifacts came together to battle against a great evil, and using their combined powers, they sealed the creature up right here. He knows this because the more you drink from the fountain, the more of its memories you get. The thing they sealed up began to adapt, using the energies of the artifacts to reconfigure them and allow it to leak back into the real world as corrupted versions of the Witchblade spear and darkness. Those biker witches are using the version of the darkness that it made, and the Witchblade is what those fleshy versions of the Witchblade are. He hasn't seen the spear yet. Realizing how much trouble Kane is probably in, Sarah walks down to try and call Jackie, the wielder of the real darkness, but he doesn't answer. As Jane is looking through the photos of the missing people that these people have been eating, Sarah pulls out a gun on Leon. He explains that he thought they had an understanding, that he would remain here quietly while she took care of those bikers so the fountain wouldn't get out. And she explains that she would have taken help looking for Kane, but this was always how it was going to end. But before anything else can happen, the roar of motorcycles can be heard, and the biker witches arrive. They break through the doors and the walls, and Sarah turns around to see Kane there with Jane, and a knife to her neck while his eyes are blacked out. While an arcane gang war is going on behind her, Sarah tries to talk down Kane, and then she reads his notes. She knows that he was playing the biker witches. He wants power, and until he gets it, he's just a wannabe. But Sarah, she's the real goddamn deal, and she shows him the Witchblade. Kane jumps at it. Mine! While this is happening, the biker witches are wrapping the building up with their roots in trees, and the flesh is beating back the biker witches gang. Once the witches get their roots into the wall, they tear it off and they ride their bikes inside. So Sarah buries the Witchblade into Kane's chest, and she begins to coax the fake darkness out of him. She's handled it before. She's been possessed by the real darkness. She's worked with Jackie and fought against him. But while she's focused on that, one of the the biker witches begins to swing an axe at Sarah's head, and Jane shoots the woman in the chest. Over with the leader of the witches, she blasts a member of the Flesh talking to Leon and saves him. So Leon lets the fake Witchblade take over, demanding to know why they can't leave him be. The leader of the biker witches tells him that what he thinks is his is actually theirs. Sarah hands Kane over to Jane and tells her to get both of them out of there now because she's gonna follow this case through to the end. She then armors up and takes one of their bikes. She rides over to see the fake darkness fighting with the fake Witchblade, and she drives her bike into the biker witch's body. The biker witch lands on the fountains, breaking the top of it off, and her blood begins to spray out of it like a fountain mixed with the water from the fountain. It covers Sarah's body, and it begins to take years off her life. Instantly, she uses 10 years, even gaining 15 years of youth back. Covered in the water and the monster, she sees the past that Leon spoke of, and she rejects everything. She knows that she doesn't need it. While it took 3 artifacts to seal this up the first time, Sarah has the Witchblade, 2 artifacts in one, and it's all that she's going to need to seal this. The entire area then explodes! Jane got credit for finding the killers, and the rest of the biker witch gang survived, vowing revenge. Leon knew that it was all over. The fountain was buried, and he didn't intend on opening it up again. The next day, Kane woke up on Sarah's couch, and she gave him cab fare, saying her goodbyes. He went back to his show, and then into a secret basement where he found an older man, someone asking why Kane would disturb him, and Kane told him he found something called the Witchblade. As for Jackie in this new universe, I guess we'll have to wait for the next chapter of Rebirth. If you guys enjoyed this story, give it a like so that I know you want more Witchblade in general. We're already gonna do Darkness Rebirth, but I need to know, do you want the origins? Let me know by giving it a like, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian and Instagram at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time right here.